out and shadows creep across the walls, that's when the real horrors begin. Tonight, I'll be sharing 10 true scary stories that happened at night. From stalkers lurking outside windows to unexplainable footsteps in empty houses, these stories come from real people who swear every word is true. If you're listening in the dark, grab a blanket, lock your doors, and maybe keep one light on, because after hearing these, you might never look at nighttime the same way again. I was 17 when this happened. My parents had gone out of town for the weekend, leaving me home alone. It was around 12:30 a.m., and I was on the couch watching TV. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the front door. It was slow, deliberate, and didn't sound like someone casually visiting. My first thought was maybe a neighbor needed help, but who knocks at midnight? When I peeked through the peephole, I froze. A tall man stood there, his head tilted slightly down, not moving. I couldn't make out his face, just the outline of him in the dim porch light. He knocked again, harder this time. Then, in a low voice, I heard him say, "I know you're in there." My blood ran cold. I didn't answer, didn't move. A moment later, I heard footsteps, not walking away, but circling the side of the house. The creak of the porch boards gave him away. I grabbed the phone and whispered to the police. They told me to stay hidden until help arrived. As I sat there, I could hear him trying the back door, rattling the handle, then silence. When the police finally showed up, the man was gone. But in the morning, I found muddy footprints leading from the front door, around the house, and stopping directly under my bedroom window. When I was 15, my bedroom faced the backyard. No one ever came back there. It was fenced and dark. One night around 2 a.m., I woke up to a faint tapping. I thought maybe a tree branch was hitting the glass. But when I looked, I nearly screamed. A man was standing outside, his face pressed to the glass, fogging it with his breath. He didn't move, didn't say anything, just stood there smiling like he'd been waiting for me to wake up. I froze, unable to breathe. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. After what felt like forever, I screamed for my dad. By the time he burst into the room, the man had vanished. The next morning, we found clear footprints in the dirt under my window. The scary part, the way they were spaced, it looked like he had been standing there for hours before I woke up. Our old house had a basement that I always hated. It smelled damp, the single light bulb barely lit it, and the walls seemed to breathe in the dark. One night, when I was about 12, I was upstairs doing homework when I heard scratching. At first I thought it was mice, but then the scratching turned into footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps, moving in a circle directly under where I was sitting. I froze, listening. The steps were deliberate, like someone pacing slowly in the basement. Finally, I gathered the courage to open the basement door. The smell of damp air rushed up at me. I pointed my flashlight down the stairs, but the sound stopped instantly. The basement was empty. But when my dad went down the next morning, he found something scratched into the concrete floor near the bottom of the stairs. Just one word: waiting. This happened before cell phones were common. I was 19, living with my parents when the house phone rang late at night. When I answered, all I heard was breathing. Then a man whispered, "I see you." I slammed the phone down, shaking. Not even a minute later, it rang again. Same voice, "I'm outside." It was coming from a payphone, less than a block away from my house. When the cops checked, the phone was still swinging on the hook, but no one was there. I used to work late shifts at a small diner. One night I was driving home on a rural road surrounded by woods. It was pitch black, no streetlights, no houses, just me and the empty road. Suddenly headlights appeared behind me. At first I didn't think much of it until the car sped up and began tailgating me. I changed lanes. The car followed. I slowed down. The car slowed too. My heart was racing. I pressed the gas, trying to get away, but every turn I made, they followed. Then, without warning, the headlights swerved off into the woods. My eyes widened. There was no road there, just trees, but the lights disappeared instantly. To this day, I don't know if it was a person or something else. When I was 16, I babysat for a family that lived a few blocks away. One night after the kids had gone to bed, the phone rang. A man's voice said, "Have you checked the children?" I froze. I hadn't told anyone I was babysitting. I hung up, but the phone rang again. Same voice, same words. My skin crawled. I grabbed the kids and locked us in the bathroom until the parents came home. Later, when they checked the call logs, they discovered the calls had been coming from the upstairs phone line. The terrifying part, the upstairs lights had never turned on. Whoever it was had been in the dark. And those were 10 true scary stories that happened at night. Which one kept you up the most? Comment the number below. I read every single one. If you've ever had something terrifying happen to you, share your story in the comments. It might be featured in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more true horror stories every week. And remember, the night is never as quiet as you think.